Hey guys, my name is Scoby and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing an unboxing and review of the Xbox Series controller. I'm going to be comparing it a little bit to the Xbox One controller, although I will be doing a full video in the future to really compare the two. We're going to see if Microsoft really did some improvements here, or if you're better off picking up the old Xbox One controller. Let's jump right into this. So opening this box up, there isn't actually a lot going on here. We get the controller itself, we get some extra batteries, and we also get some extra documentation here at the bottom. Now it is also possible, depending on where you get your controller from and when you unbox it, you can get an Xbox Game Pass voucher inside. For me, I actually didn't get one. This is actually staged. I had it from another controller, but it is possible to get that depending on where you get it from. So taking a look at the controller right away, the first thing with this shock blue is it actually looks really fantastic. They also blued off all of the buttons on the controller here as well, and I actually think with the white tone on the edges and on the back, it actually looks really clean. So for me, I'm a huge fan of the blue controller and I think it looks really good on this. So in terms of buttons and layout, what we have on the top of the controller, we have the two bumpers and the two triggers. These are kind of the staple of controllers nowadays and they're really nice. On the bumpers and triggers of this controller, we also have this dotted mesh material which helps give some extra grip, and I think in this case it actually does a really nice job. It definitely gives a little bit more of a feel to it. I didn't necessarily hate the previous controller's smoother finish, however I do find this finer finish a little bit nicer to hold, and it definitely feels nice in the hand. In terms of our front facing buttons, we have our two sticks, we have our select and start button, we have our four facing buttons, we have our diagonal stick, and of course we have the extra screenshot button and the Xbox power button. Now in terms of look and feel, if you liked the original Xbox One controller, you will really like this as well. It is essentially the same apart from a few key differences. One is the D-pad, which is a lot clickier and a lot different on this controller. Now one other thing to keep in mind is the feel of the triggers. Now for me, I like the feel of the triggers on the Xbox Series a lot more. They definitely feel like they have a bit more of a harder spring. Now this of course could be because this is a brand new controller in comparison to one I've used for quite some time, but the overall feedback and dragging force just feels a little bit nicer on the Xbox Series, although it is very comparable to the original Xbox, just a little bit stronger on the Xbox Series. But overall, I think you can't really go wrong with either of these. I think they're both still great triggers. And there's a little bit more of a grip textured material on the back that actually also feels pretty nice in the hand. It is a little bit rough at first if you're used to a smoother controller. However, I've grown to really like this feel. It definitely feels very natural, but it is very fine. It's almost like a very light sandpaper. Personally, I really like the grip and groove of this controller. For me, it's a nice hugging material. It feels very warm and sensational, and it gives a really nice comfort overall, so I'm really happy with that. Now of course, the fact that we got batteries in the package also leads us to believe that there's no built-in battery with this, and that is of course the case. So there's actually a battery pack cover here on the back, so you can slide this off and you'll reveal a slot where you can put batteries. Now of course there's third-party and official accessories that you can connect that are rechargeable batteries, or if you have multiple battery packs you can really easily swap them in and out, so you do get more options here. However, I can't help but feel a little bit annoyed that there's not actually built-in batteries with this. It's still my personal preference when it comes to controllers, although I do believe some people much prefer the built-in batteries like this, that you can switch them out really easily. Now in terms of vibration and overall haptic feedback and the triggers and the overall feedback here, it does feel a little bit better on the Xbox Series controller in comparison to the Xbox One controller. Now this again will be personal preference, however it just felt a little bit tighter in terms of vibration feedback control on the Xbox Series controller. The overall triggers just felt a little bit snappier, and the vibration haptic feedback definitely felt a little bit more controlled on the Xbox Series. Now in terms of ports and I/O we have on this controller, on the top we actually have a USB-C cable, which I'm really happy to see. It's a huge improvement over the last generation. On the bottom we then have an AUX port, so this will work on your Xbox to wirelessly send audio to any pair of headphones you plug in here. This will also work wirelessly to send audio on PC if you're using it wired or if you're using it over the wireless receiver. And then lastly, we have an expansion port that's used for extra accessories. Now lastly, in terms of wireless connection, it is mostly the same as the original Xbox One controller, except now all series models include Bluetooth, whereas only S model controllers of the original Xbox One included Bluetooth. So this is definitely nice to have as well. So overall, I think this controller is really nice, and for the price, I actually think it's a solid controller. Even if you're just buying it for PC, I would definitely recommend it over the original Xbox One controller if you can get it. One of the main reasons being is that USB-C port, and once that becomes a bit more standard, that'll be much easier to find and much easier to get your hands on in comparison to the Micro B. So it's definitely something I'd recommend over that. I would recommend waiting for sales though, or I would recommend picking it up in a bundle with the wireless receiver, which you can usually get for around €70, and that's definitely something I would recommend. I think if you're going to be playing on PC, that is a great bundle to pick up. I think this controller lives and breathes the message, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and Microsoft has definitely done some really nice things here, and I think this controller is really good, and it's definitely the little improvements that make it a little bit better. I think overall it's a really nice controller, and it's something I would definitely recommend. Anyway guys, that's been my unboxing and review of the Xbox Series controller. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. Subscribe if you're new, check out the other videos on the channel. Until next time guys, as always, keep it saucy. Peace.